Now, Reverend Hovind, you've written on the subject of Godonomics. Some may disagree with this. I think God wants us to be successful in everything that we do. God wants us to make money. God wants us to accumulate things. He doesn't want us to be failures walking around over the Rhine in sandals. Am I right or wrong?
Well, the Bible has a lot to say about business, a lot to say about money, about inflation, about debt. I covered this in a 6-week series that we turned into a DVD. What would God say to Adam Smith? What would God say to John Keynes, Alan Greenspan, Karl Marx, FDR?
Say something to Obama. Can God speak to Obama? Can we get that one?
Well, you know, I actually cover in What Would God Say to FDR that he'd say the same thing to Obama that he would say to George Bush: stop spending tomorrow's money today. Proverbs says very clearly, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. We're not leaving an inheritance to our children's children. Yes.
Well, we're leaving an unsustainable debt.
Exactly. Rather than reserves, we're leaving them receipts. $14 trillion in debt, and it's immoral. And the Bible over and over says that the borrower is enslaved to the lender. And that is not a Democrat or Republican principle. That's just an economic principle. In fact, in Deuteronomy it says, do not borrow from other nations, because if you do, they will become the head and you will become the tail.
So we're the tail of the Red Chinese, and Clinton worked with Gingrich. Republican, Democrat gave us a balanced budget, in fact, a surplus, so it's not political. But I worry, Reverend, I said this last time on my syndicated show, that we have half the American people, that total, paying 2% of all the bills. So when you talk about tax cuts, they don't want any. When you talk about government benefits, they want more. And they vote. We're in a democracy.
Well, yeah, that's why Godonomics transcends politics. When I began to speak about it, it's not about donkeys, it's not about elephants, it's not even about rhinos. If anything, it's anti-pigs. You know, from Animal Farm, the problem is pigs. Everyone's equal, but we're more equal than you. And that's when folks get in power who are just so greedy. And the Bible speaks very directly of this. In 1 Samuel chapter 8, it says, they come to Samuel and say, we want a big government. We want a big king. We want somebody to provide for all of our needs. And Samuel comes to God, and God says, forewarn them what a big intrusive government looks like. He will take. He will take, he will take. He'll take a tenth of this and a tenth of that and a tenth of this and a tenth of that. And over again it says, what was yours will be his. What was yours will be his. And what he is saying is that if you go into this, and I won't stop you, but if you do it, you'll lose your prosperity, you'll lose your generosity, you lose your liberty. And that is exactly what happened. And that is why, you know, the government it doesn't have any money. It's a throughput. It either taxes the producers, it inflates the currency, which hurts the poor. The Bible has a lot to say about that. Or it borrows from other nations, like we just looked at. All three of which are devastating to a national economy, families, and those who really can't control it, because they're trying to work within a system that's been manipulated by others at the top. It's a lot like, do you ever watch Little Shop of Horrors?
No.
There's this man eating plants that comes to Rick Moranis and says, feed me, Seymour, feed me. And he gives him a little drop of blood. Okay, now that's going to sustain him. Next time, 2 drops of blood. Next time, watch his left arm, right arm. That's what government is. And that is why Christians historically have been for lesser government, because they know that when you consolidate power, more and more selfishness comes into play. And what happens is it becomes just like Samuel warned us in 1 Samuel 8, which is that it just wants more and more and more and more and more.
Well, I'm going to come to your church more often. You're making some sense.